Hey, I'm Nancy Cavey, National ERISA and Individual Disability Attorney. Welcome to Winning Isn't Easy. Before we get started, the Florida Bar tells me I have to give you a legal disclaimer. So I'm going to give you that disclaimer. This podcast is not legal advice, but nothing will ever prevent me from giving you an easy to understand overview of the disability insurance world, the games that disability carriers play, and what you need to know to get the disability benefits you deserve. So off we go. Do you have multiple sclerosis? If so, this episode is for you. Now, if you don't have MS, I still think there are some valuable takeaways that you can learn from that may be applicable to your case because disability carriers play the same games, if you will. I've talked about MS before in other episodes, but I want to do another episode because this is just a hot topic. Today, I'm going to talk about three things. Number one, what are the common MS symptoms that disability carriers look for in your medical records? Two, how does stiffness spasticity work or apply, if you will, in your multiple sclerosis claim? And three, what visual issues are important in your MS ERISA disability claim? So let's take a break before we get started. Welcome back to Winning Isn't Easy. Let's talk about visual issues and your MS ERISA disability claim. Do you know that 80 to 90% of people with MS have some type of visual impairment during the course of their disease? There are three common visual problems that can occur: double vision, optic neuritis, and nystagmus. One of the keys, in my view, to winning your ERISA disability claim and staying on claim is to establish the objective basis for the MS diagnosis. Now, once you've done that, you also have to establish the objective basis for the visual diagnosis. There should be a comprehensive explanation in your records about not all your symptoms, but also your visual symptoms, including the double vision. Why? Because most occupations are visually dependent, and we want to make sure that those visual symptoms are explained and that there's documentation as to how these symptoms impact your ability to perform your own or any occupation. The totality of your MS symptoms, including your visual symptoms, if properly developed, can be the basis for a winning disability claim. Double vision and your MS ERISA disability claim. 5 to 15% of MS sufferers have double vision, and that's caused by the demyelinization of the brainstem pathways that control your eye movements. The brainstem will coordinate the nerves and muscles in the eye. The demyelinization of the nerves and muscles result in an inability of the eyes to move together. So each eye is seeing something slightly different, and as a result, you're seeing double. Optic neuritis in an MS disability claim is also key. According to the Mayo Clinic, optic neuritis occurs when there's swelling or inflammation to the optic nerve. And that's a bundle of nerve fibers that transmit visual information from your eye to your brain. MS sufferers can feel pain with eye movement, and they may even have temporary vision loss. I know that you know this, but disability carriers don't know this. Oftentimes, optic neuritis is one of the first signs of MS, though it can also occur later in the disease process. So again, we want to document any optic neuritis that you have in your MS claim. Nystagmus. Now, according to the Johns Hopkins medical site, nystagmus is an involuntary rhythmic side-to-side, up and down, or circular motion of the eyes that occur in a variety of conditions. And what the main symptom is the illusion that the stationary world is moving. Now, that can be devastating to your ability to work. And this often occurs in diseases that will affect the vestibular system. So the disability carriers do have some understanding of it, but they don't appreciate it in the context of an MS claim. What do you need to prove to get your disability benefits as a result of visual issues in an MS case? I have to remind you, you have the burden of proof in a disability insurance claim. What you have to prove depends on what's in your disability plan or in your policy. One of the most important provisions, of course, is what's the definition of disability? What's the definition of occupation? You have to understand what that definition is because you're working backwards. Let's say the definition of occupation is how your occupation is performed in the national economy and not from your employer. Well, what you want to do is get your employer's description of your occupational duties, look up your occupation of the Dictionary of Occupational Titles, and then write down what it is you actually do. We want to try to create a composite description of your occupational duties. And that's particularly true where there is overlap. Why is that important? Because that's the starting point for your proof. Think about what the visual duties you have of your occupation, and then think about what it is about your visual difficulties that would make it difficult, if not impossible, to perform your occupational duties. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're a graphic designer or a lawyer or another professional that needs to use a computer. What you want to do here is identify the occupational tasks that you have difficulty doing or can't do anymore. And duty by duty, write them down and draw a line. Outline the specific symptoms that you have and how those symptoms impact your ability to function. You can do it in an Excel spreadsheet format, but we want to have specific identifying information. And of course, you may not be able to do that, but certainly you can get the assistance of a family member or friend to help you create this document. I know that it can be difficult to look at a computer because of blurry vision, pain in the eye, or sensitivity to light. You want to document those things. One of the things you want to do with this is to give this information to your doctor because it's going to help them complete attending physician statement forms that the carrier is going to ask for. And you also want to have your lawyer review this because consistency is always the key. What you say in this document has to be consistent with what you put on the activity of daily living form and has to be consistent with what's in your medical records. And it's got to be consistent with whatever you've got on your social media posting. And as you know, everything should be taken down and no one should be posting anything about your activities. It will come back and bite you big time. It does take teamwork to understand the terms of your policy or plan. You got to figure out what's the occupational definition? What's the definition of disability? What's in my medical records? How am I going to explain my symptoms? How am I going to explain the impact of functionality? And how can I present this to the disability carrier and my doctor in a simple format? I don't want you to give the disability carrier a reason to deny your claim. Disability carriers are in the business of denying claims, and you shouldn't give them an easy win with reasons to deny, slow walk, or terminate your MS claim. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of Winning Isn't Easy. If you've enjoyed this episode, consider liking our page, leaving a review, sharing it with your friends and your family, and subscribing to this podcast. You'll get notified every time there's a new episode that comes out. I hope you tune in next week for another insightful episode of Winning Isn't Easy.